I've been reading some interesting news. Seems as though there is a site from VGC News. And from what it states, verbatim, Crystal Dynamics seek legacy of Kane feedback ahead of potential revival. The studio's asking fans what they'd like to see if the series were to make a comeback. First off, what I'd like to see is the first game remastered right off the bat from the get go. But as a potential revival, as to make a comeback, to see, I would like to see a Kane Raziel, sort of like when Raziel is the priest and he gets changed. I would like to see that. Um, I know there's a few. The Elder God being one of them. God rest his soul. Rest in peace. But as a potential revival, you're going to have to find either somebody who can do Raziel and Kane's voice right off the get go. I would like to see one Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kane, Defiance, all of them being remastered, redone with the original voices. Gotta have that. Another, if you were going to hand down the torch as far as Kane and Raziel, hmm, you were going to have either Raziel succumb to the blade and that story be done, or Raziel getting a wild hair up his butt and kills Kane. I don't know, in his sleep, whatever. I mean, he is. If he is the Soul Reaver, I mean, it's not really hard if you're playing that sort of game. Soul Reaver being able to leech the life essence off of Kane. Granted, they're vampires. I understand that, but we are talking like Legacy of Kane here. I mean, if Raziel had a soul ish, because he became the Reaper of Souls, you kind of figured Kane would also be in the same boat, because you can't exclude one while allowing to have another have a soul, so to speak. But I would like to actually see a prequel to the in between Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver, like the prologue of how Raziel got turned, that sort of thing. Um, as far as at the end of Defiance, to be honest, the story would end up in a complete loop because Raziel goes into the blade and Cain takes him back to the appropriate time while he's in the blade. Um, how that would work as far as making another one, either handing down the mantle would help considerably. So, like, say there was a plot to kill Cain, maybe an anti protagonist or a protagonist is trying to save him from basically him going nuts. I mean, you could have it to where the time streamer is like playing mind games with them again, that sort of thing. But, the protagonist, the new protagonist, I guess if you were to do something like that, then the new protagonist wouldn't be able to save him. He stirs up in madness. New protagonist would have to kill him, blah, 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 and he would take up the mantle. However, I would actually have it to where the sword could speak, or being able to have Raziel come out of the blade one more time. If, I mean, if the actor is so willing to do the voice again, that would be something different. But you'd have to stick with Kanan Raziel. I mean, unless you're going to hand down the mantle, at least for that portion of the story. And then if you were to do a prologue or something like that, and do it to where, Raziel is priest and you find out, Raziel's past. I mean, we already know about Cain's, which is, you know, in itself a really good story. But yeah, I mean, I just seen the news on it and I'm like, what? But yeah, there is new talks on the Legacy of Kain series, which I found very interesting. So yeah, I mean, Legacy of Kain. I mean, geez, it's been '90s, a good minute. Let's see, Defiance came out 2005. 2000, either 2003 or 2005, one of the two. And here it is, 2023. I've actually loved the series. I own all the games on Steam, but I would actually like to see them back on PlayStation. And not just as a PlayStation Plus subscriber, sort of like old catalog thing either. I want it to be able to where people can purchase it and everything like that. Give it a good remaster, remake, redo, recolorization, everything. Sort of like rekindle that torch, but don't like modernize it. Keep it the way the story is right now, so people can understand. I mean, the legacy. I mean, there's a lot of people that do understand Legacy of Kain and Soul Reaver. You it's got a big fan base, and people do enjoy the game as is. I mean, but I mean, yeah, a prequel to where Raziel's priest Cain turns him into a vampire. That would be nice. But yeah, I saw the news and I was floored. So hopefully, either this year or next, because right now, as I am looking at the Crystal Dynamics site, we have the Defiance project, and it looks like Blood Omen 2. I would like to see, as far as projects and everything, the first game, the foundation of what Legacy of Kain was. Not like how Tekken did it with Tekken 2, how other games done it, with like Assassin's Creed, they did it with Assassin's Creed 2 with Ezio and all. No, you need the foundation because if you don't have the foundation, people are not going to understand it. But yeah, I mean, I I've done some remixes of the music and stuff like that, but if they rekindle this fire, I probably am not going to be able to do any more music because, well, they're going to renew the license and all that crap. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll be like, they enjoy the work that I've done as far as like remastering and redoing the music. I mean, I want to be like, like these other people out here who just want to keep that fire alive for Legacy of Kain. There's a lot of fans out there who have been wanting either a remaster or a good enough sequel to put out there. And the one that they were working on was meh, but you didn't really like you weren't told if like this other character was going to be like the one that who ends up either, and this is just maybe foresight or whatever, how they were going to do it, but nobody really knows because the game wasn't really released. Maybe it was foreshadowing with Cain. Maybe it was a story that dealt with Raziel. Maybe it was Raziel's son that nobody knew of, or a brother, or what have not. But Legacy of Kain was a very good storyline. It had merit compared to most games nowadays. And as a vampire game, I enjoyed playing it, and then I enjoyed playing Blood Rain too. Those two were like the pie in my eye, so to speak. If the pie in my eye. But yeah, I mean, Legacy of Kain was just the epitome of good storyline, good character design during its time. I mean, does not mean that it can't be better. Of course, it can be better. Seen a lot of people do artwork of Raziel and Kane nowadays, and the artwork is just immensely good. I mean, some of the stuff as far as like the music and stuff I did, I retouched up some of the graphics in them, and then I did the music for them, and then the videos and blah blah blah. And most of them are remixes and redos of, you know, old games. Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. That was like pretty much where I started. I mean, I did some Soul Reaver stuff, and they were posted first, but my primary focus was working on Legacy of Kain music. Blood Omen was just magnifique. And you got all these other vampire games now, like Vampires the Masquerade, and then you got, of course, Blood Rain just got a re-release. I have them both, but I'm not going to buy the third one. I think Jessica could do a third one better than what they did. Um, but the side-scrolling thing, just horrible. But that's just my opinion. Other people might have a different opinion on that. But Legacy of Kain. But yeah, I mean, they've got people, they weren't people's feedback. So anybody who watches this and is a fan, a true fan, I'm going to say this, a true fan to Legacy of Kain and have played the games and know the story from start to finish, from Legacy of Kain to Defiance, put your notations in because, obviously it seems like Crystal Dynamics is wanting to keep the series alive. So I'm later on I'm gonna actually post something to them, but hopefully this video will reach them too. But yeah, I mean prequel as far as going outside that box, you're going to need one, Kane back, two, Raziel back. The Elder God, you probably won't need him back because, well, it's going to be a prequel, discussing how Raziel got turned, Raziel being a priest. Of course, you're going to have Time Streamer, you're going to have Malik getting involved, you're going to have all the vampires from Soul Reaver to, getting involved. So Malik and Rom, all the vampires are going to have to be in there. Um, you get, well, actually, you know all their stories too and how they were turned because I think they all were Seraphim priests. So that would be interesting. Getting more into the Seraphim priesthood, and then we would know more about like the main boss of Defiance, because yeah, we end up fighting him in Defiance, and he's yeah. So maybe we'd know more about that, get more in depth on the story, so we know who everybody is. I mean, we all know who Kane is. We all know pretty much who Raziel is, but there wasn't much story on Raziel. Sure, we know he was a Seraphim priest and everything else, but we don't know about his brethren that much. We don't know too much about the Seraphim priesthood. So I guess a little bit on that would help. um, Maybe going into why Cain wanted to seek a courtship and turn these priests. Maybe a prequel to that. There's a lot you could really go into when it comes to Legacy of Kain. I mean, but we already know what happens to Raziel. He succumbs to the sword. He becomes the blade. Cain goes back to time and into the modern time and the modern era, and we don't hear about any of them for quite some time. I mean, we don't know if the actual timeline ends up into a continuous loop and starts over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Legacy of Kain. I look at it this way: if you're gonna redo Legacy of Kain and remaster them or redo them or whatever, you should give Lara Croft, as in Tomb Raider 1, a good reboot and a good remaster. Redo the skins, but don't follow suit. I'm gonna say this once and only once, and this is to Crystal Dynamics. Please, for the love of God, do not follow modern hearsay. If you're going to do Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, do not follow the modern time rhetoric. Do them justice. Do them how they were supposed to be done, as in normally as they would be, unless you're going to tie in like a happenstance where Kane gets killed or Raziel ends up doing something and Kane ends up, or when you're handing down the torch, keep to the story. The same way with Tomb Raider. I mean, when you're redoing or recoding like the character design stuff like that. I mean, you want to make a few nuances to change, like to make the graphics better. As far as Kane and Raziel, fine, great. And as far as Laura Croft, do the same thing. But don't follow the norm of what everybody else is doing. Sure, freedom of expression as far as art is far few and in between when it comes to consoles, which is disturbing to me. But yeah, the body type of Laura Croft, all that stuff needs to be, if you're going to do it, it has to all follow suit. I mean, I like the new Laura Crofts and stuff like that, but the body design, I mean, yeah, you're looking at young Laura, which, cool. But yeah, don't follow the rhetoric and the common norm. Do what you want to do as a studio. Don't pretty much listen to a lot of the fan base when they want you to make changes, or other companies to where they want you to make changes. Feel free to make changes on your own merit, not because of a company that tells you to do so. You are the creators of the game, and that should be that. But yeah, just found out news. Legacy of Kain, from what I see, is looking for people to give them ideas to revive the old series. And let me also point this out too. If you're going to revive a whole series, like the series, start by doing remakes. Give them a polish. Even if it's just remasters, giving them a polish. Keep them the same and, but polish them up, such as like graphic design, stuff like that. And then when those get done and you publish them, But it's like I said, start with the first one first because that one's going to be key for everything. If you see that the game does well, or you get a lot of feedback when it comes to players seeing this game, seeing it making a return, then you know you are ready to start either a new chapter or an old chapter. It's also depending on the actors and the actresses who've also played in Legacy of Kain 2. Whoever's alive, unfortunately, rest in peace for those who have, lost their lives. It will probably, never hear from them. I mean, unless there are or people out there who can mimic or mock the voices, which probably be another good way of doing it, then great. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it as far as Legacy of Kain is considered. So yeah, I just wanted to pass along the news. I saw it on the internet because I was just looking it up just to see if there was actually going to be a remake or anything like that or a revival for Legacy of Kain because this series has been dormant for quite some time. I mean, it's like almost close to 20, yeah, 20 years or or if not close to 20 years on 20 years. So yeah, that is my take on the whole scenario. Crystal Dynamics is tagged in this. Legacy of Kain is tagged in this. Soul Reaver's tagged in this. Um, of course, PS5, PlayStation 5 is tagged in this too. But yeah, and I know it's Crew too, but it's like, you know what? If I was to actually do something as far as Legacy of Kain, I would have to have like a game, to go with it. But the only thing I have, you know, as far as that is PC, and I don't feel like hooking everything up in order to record on that. So I am making my notation here as far as, Crew on the Crew 2. I mean, but yeah, Legacy of Kain. All right, so I'm going to head out of here. I want to share the news, and hopefully we'll see something come of it. But other than that, if we don't, I put my forward, my thoughts forward, and it's going to be up to everybody else to see if they do the same thing or not too. But it's going to take everybody who's a fan, who's played the game, to say something. I mean, we've been saying it for years, though, to be honest, for years, that it's been, needing a remake or a remaster. But it's sort of funny that now they're starting to listen. So, who knows? We'll see. But other than that, I'm going to head out of here. I said my piece, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Latest.